Good morning. Welcome to Old Man Energy. Today, I'm going to be responding to my request previously for feedback on what you guys wanted to hear more of and which of my episodes have trended the best, the shorts and what have you. And they all, without exception, have had the same thing. So pay attention, stay with us till the end because we're going to be changing up the format just a little bit. And we've got some exciting announcements that I'm going to be talking about. So you want to stay for this one. I'm going to make it as brief as possible. The number one topic that most of you wanted to hear back on me from was just manhood in general. How to do it, how to go about being better dad, father, husband, leader. These have been themes that have been consistent throughout the last year. That plus my personal journey, entrepreneurial, just a little bit of whatever we felt like we wanted to talk about, what I wanted to teach on that day. When I started digging into the analytics, I saw that you had excuse me, we had all of my most popular videos, especially the shorts, were the ones that related to manhood, specifically men's mental health. Now, whether that was stories of my childhood, my father, me growing up, making my choices, or of stitches with other videos, it was very eye-opening to see what was going on. So what I'm going to do is, if you already follow me on other social media, all of my personal accounts, the Flint Rock accounts, are going to continue to have my personal information on them. They're going to have lifestyle, and it's going to have my entrepreneurial journey as well, because I cannot walk away from that. I've got tons of information out there on that. But the Old Man Energy is going to shift, and it's going to be primarily focused on the men's issues, on creating a men's community, on bringing us together and giving us a support group. One of the things that we struggle with as guys is isolation and the depression. There's men's mental health is a very underserved market, and for a couple of reasons. One, we pull away from it. We don't like to open up about ourselves. There's tons of information on the internet where that gets weaponized against us in a toxic relationship, and ultimately sometimes in the courts we get our feet pulled out from underneath us because we try and open up to somebody. So we end up being very, very isolated. Also, younger men, they're looking to be good dads, husbands, fathers, and leaders, and they don't have that example. So it's time for guys my age to step up and start doing that. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be launching the program that I've put together, which is going to involve not only a men's community, but a mentoring and coaching community where we can plug all of these men into each other, not only guys my age that are looking for friendship and accountability from another man, but also younger men who are wanting and trying to figure it out. So stay tuned, look for that. You're going to see a truncated amount of links in the bottom of the podcast, and the one that you're going to want to click on will be highlighted at the top to get preliminary information on this. So one of the things I want to talk about today is how to improve yourself as a man. This is the number one thing that came up. All of everything and all the response was, what do I need to do today to start being a better person, to feel better about myself? Because we all have those times when we wake up and we get up, we grind, we go to work, we go home, we're tired, and we feel like we're producing, but we just feel like a machine. We don't have, okay, how can I be a better man? And a lot of times we don't have the mental energy to sit down and think about that, let alone the physical energy. So in this first segment, I want to talk about ways to instantly improve your life. And if you followed me for any amount of time or shared me with other folks, you understand that I like to give you stuff that's implementatable immediately, so that you don't have to wait. You don't want to have a learning curve, or you want to be able to do something while you're learning. I think it's very powerful. Is if you're already winning, it makes you that much more successful when you're doing the hard work. So one of the first things that you want to do, and this sounds crazy as anything, is be grateful. And this sounds like a no-brainer, but be grateful. Sit down and truly think about every day what you have to be grateful for. And you know what? It doesn't have to be anything huge and fancy. Oh, I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my kids. Of course you are. And write those things down. That's important. There's been mornings when I was practicing gratitude where I was just grateful for a cup of coffee. Maybe it was exceptionally good. Maybe the sunrise was beautiful. I was grateful for the attitude that it put in. Maybe the cool, crisp air in the fall. It doesn't matter what you're grateful for. Is important to write down 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for every morning, because this shifts your mindset. It gets you away from looking at problems and it gets you over to looking at gratitude. Second, most important point out of everything that you can do right now to get started is learn to say no. Think before you answer. But just because, and I heard this quote, and I do not know who said it, but just because you have free time available or you have some time available does not mean that that's accessible to anybody that asks for it. Now, this gets into what you do for a living a little bit, because if people want free time with you, like the famous joke is, oh, you're a doctor. Well, I have this spot here. Can you look at it while you're at dinner party or what have you? But learn to say no, and that applies in your personal life too. Only make commitments that either drive you towards your goals or spending time towards your family. Everything else doesn't matter. It needs to be eliminated long term. So learn to say no. How do you get good at saying no? You practice. You pick situations that you know you can say no to, and you do it. And you don't owe anybody an explanation. And this is the part that kills me, because I want to explain why I do the things I do. But sometimes no is just no. It's a complete sentence. You don't owe anybody any explanation as to why. Another thing you can do immediately is start getting more sleep. We all sit in the evening and watch TV, or we scroll through our phones, and sometimes that kills 30 minutes. Sometimes it can kill 2 hours. But the importance of enough sleep cannot be overstated. When you get enough rest, your whole life looks different. And you know what? If you've only got 5 hours to sleep because of your work schedule and the way you work, then take those 5 hours and sleep, and don't waste an hour and a half or two of them scrolling through social media or doing things, engaging in tasks that are not going to help you. Whatever amount of time that you have to sleep, use it and sleep as well and as comfortably and as long as possible. Now, these 3 simple changes will make a massive difference in you tomorrow. You don't have to start learning about that. They'll make a big difference in you tomorrow. As you're implementing these, let's learn how to change your life around, which is the second part of what I want to talk about here. These are things that take a little bit longer, but are just as important to do. The first thing is stop eating garbage. Start eating more clean food. Are you ever going to eat 100% perfectly clean food? Especially my blue collar guys out there. I know I lived on chicken wings and beer for a long time, and food from gas stations. I always leave that one out, but I always ate lunch at the gas station. Clean up your food and drink as much as possible. If you can get 80% of the food that you put in your body just to be as raw as possible, as fresh as possible, then you will notice a markedly different outlook. Not only physically, you'll feel better, but mentally, some of that brain fog will start to clear up. You don't have to go buy organic this and organic that. Just the less ingredients it has, the more close to raw and fresh it is, the better off you are. That's it. That's a good rule of thumb. You don't need to get obsessed with tracking nutrition, what have you. Then there's tons of apps out there, and there's a lot of positive things that come from that. But initially, just eat cleaner, drink more water, eliminate the sugary drinks. Those few things there will start to make a difference, but it doesn't show up immediately. That does take a week or two before it really starts making a difference. Exercise is part of that. Encourage you to find a way to exercise and walk for 30, 40 minutes every day. This doesn't have to be a run, doesn't have to be a jog, doesn't have to be a sprint, just a walk. And one thing that you can do to leverage a couple of these things together is, if you're married, if your spouse wants to go with you, take them on a walk with you in the evening. If you've got kids, take them on a walk with you in the evening. It does good things for your physical health, but when you do that, it also does good things for your mental health. I know I like to walk early in the morning. We all walk along the water, and I don't use headphones or anything. That's my time just to think, and it really helps me a bunch, in addition to the physical benefits of it. So that leads into the next topic, which is mindset work. This is either learning or teaching. Pick a good book. I know if you don't like to read, it doesn't matter. Read a couple pages every day and be putting some new information inside your head. You can use audiobooks if you want. I prefer traditional because I don't think we pay as much attention to audiobooks as we do traditional. I know Hormozy talks about getting the audiobook and the traditional book and reading it while it's being read to you. That's an incredibly powerful tool, but not something all of us are going to do. If you have a particular skill or something that you're good at, use that. That can be just as effective as learning. Teach it to somebody. Start identifying somebody who you can help with whatever particular skill that you're good at, and start teaching it to somebody. That works for mindset just as much as learning does, and it often gets overlooked. So the other thing is get some extended support. Start with intention, surrounding yourself with the men and the kind of men that you want to be like. And in this particular case, you can go to the link in my profile here and sign up, and we'll get you information on the different communities that we are establishing. We're establishing just some in general communities where like-minded men can meet up and start establishing some of those friendships, share some stories and just some groups. And then we're going to be doing some advanced mentor training for the men that want to take the next level and become better dads, husbands, fathers, and leaders. So absolutely free to sign up, not looking for anything other than just a way to communicate with you and get back in touch, because we're guys and a lot of times we don't like to post up our goings on publicly. So this is a way that we can reach out to one another and not have to put up there in the public eye what exactly we're doing. Remember, change is long term. This is a journey. This is not something that you're going to flip a switch in the morning, although the first three things that you can absolutely do them and flip that switch. But this is something that you're going to decide today and then tomorrow and 1,000 times and sometimes multiple times throughout the course of the day. That's fine. No problem. Just do it. And when you mess up, you just get back up and you do it again. And I've talked about that at length. So segment 3, how are you going to level up now that you've got your baseline done? And you want to take action. You want to do something now, and you want to encourage yourself and those around you to stop procrastinating. And why does it matter that you encourage yourself and those around you? Well, because like-minded people act the same together. So whenever you decide, okay, I'm not going to procrastinate on this, you need to take action on it right then. You figure out what you're going to do. But also, if someone around you is procrastinating and putting something off, encourage them, no, not in an aggressive way, but just encourage them. Say, hey, why don't we take care of that right now? Why don't we do that right now? This compounds the principle. One, it helps you see yourself as a person who takes action and does not procrastinate, and it allows you to teach and help and lead those around you and those in your immediate circle. So you get not only the feeling of helping and teaching and leading, but it reinforces the action that you're taking anyway. So you want to remember that. Be consistent in all things. Be consistent. Keep your course even when you're struggling, and do not give up. I can't. It is easy to quit when you can't see the destination. It is easy to quit when you're frustrated, when life's throwing you curveballs, or when you had a bad day or night before, or maybe you went off your diet, or maybe you didn't exercise enough. It's really easy to just throw your hands up and go, forget it. The one thing I like to tell myself when I do this is, if I had $400 and I dropped a $5 bill, I would not throw the rest of the $395 away because I dropped $5. Use that analogy the next time you have a bad day or the next time your day goes off the rails. One day doesn't matter. If you get consistent and you jump right back up and do what you need to do, a week from now, you're going to say, hey, I had 6 good days out of the 7. That one was just shit. It is what it is. A month from now, you might remember it. 6 months from now, you couldn't even tell yourself the day you had a bad day because of the consistency. So infractions and laziness, iniquity gets buried in consistency. That's a good quote. Iniquity is buried by consistency. The other thing that this implies is never give up. There's no situation that is so hopeless that you cannot work your way out of it. Some of them are ugly, some of them are nasty, and there's a lot of you guys out there that are really in these bad situations. And this is where these relationships and these anchors and these friendships and these mentorships are going to come in strong, because sometimes our family is going through with us and they really can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, the lighthouse on the shore, whatever analogy you want to use. They can't see that, and you can't see that sometimes. So you need somebody who's there, who's on your side, who is involved in you from a friendship standpoint, a mentorship standpoint, a coaching standpoint, whatever it is, that can see from the outside that you can use as an anchor to hold on and keep moving forward. But do not ever give up. Just in the same way that exciting and happy times don't last forever, miserable and tragic times don't last forever. Life is a cycle. It goes up and down. It's going to be important whenever you start doing these things that you know what your version of a good man looks like. So I'm going to encourage you in the next section to start off by writing a description of yourself. Now that you have a little bit of success behind you and you've got some mindset challenges and you've been sitting down and looking at what you want to do, well, write down what your person as a good man looks like. What is it? What do you look like physically? What does your mind look like? What are you doing? What characters do you embody? What characters do you show the world? However you want to describe it. There's no wrong answer to this. This is a role for you to make sure that you can stay on track as you're moving forward. That's important because whether you like it or not, you're a role model already. If you have children, if you have a spouse, you're being a role model to them. If you have other children in the mix, you have other children in your neighborhood, you have people that are watching you from afar. You do not know how many people you're influencing. I'm going to use this as an example. A couple of weeks ago, I missed a podcast episode. Don't know how I did it. Don't have an excuse. I just didn't make one. I didn't realize how many people, because of the interactions, if I just based it on the analytics, it wouldn't look like that I had that many people watching or seeing what I was doing. But without exception, people that I had no idea were watching and following came up and asked, "Hey, what happened to the podcast episode? I haven't seen as many shorts from you lately. What's going on? Is everything okay?" Just reaching out and checking, including people in my own family, my own kids. I found out that one of my children that I didn't know watched at all, not only watched, but thanked me and said he missed the content because it was helping him. But he was also hesitant to help me because he just wasn't sure. He seemed a little weird. But because I missed that and then there hadn't been as much content out there lately, he was able to come up to me and say that. That was powerful, and I appreciate it very much. So any of you guys are out there watching and lurking, man, shoot some comments back. Let us know what you're enjoying. Let me know what you're not enjoying, because it's I love producing this content, and I want to make sure that I'm feeding you guys what you're wanting to hear and what you're wanting to learn. That's part of being a leader, being willing to ask for feedback. And being a role model and being a leader are two different things. Being a leader is a role model with intention, meaning you're a role model all the time. People are watching you. Whether you're doing good or bad, you're a role model. Being a leader means you're going somewhere and you're leading other people to wherever you're going. Does that mean you're forcing people to follow you? Absolutely not. But it does mean that you're a role model with intention. So moving forward. And last but not least is make sure you are providing for your family, and not only financially, which is the number one thing that guys get hammered on for providing, is providing for family. Got to be a good provider. And you know what? That's true. But you also have to be an emotional support. You have to be there for your spouse. You made commitments to them. Whenever you guys got married, make sure you're honoring them. You also have to be a provider for your children. And this doesn't just mean money. It means protection. It means love. It means affection. The only way that your children, boys or girls, are going to know how to have healthy relationships with a male in their life, whether that's a friend, whether that's a brother, whether that's a husband, doesn't matter what it is because you show them how. If you don't show them how, then you open it up to all kinds of toxic relationships and toxic futures. So being a provider for those people around you and for those people that depend on you is way more than just financial. Don't forget that you are the only anchor that a lot of these children, spouses, family has, and you hold all that together. Now, how can you improve yourself while improving others? And this is the last segment that I'm going to talk about on here. And this is how can you make yourself a better man? Well, start off by being kind. And that doesn't mean being nice. And I'm going to use this as an example. If you have a drug addict in your life and you're a nice person, you're going to give them drugs so that they don't hurt from withdrawal. That's being nice. Being kind is helping them get into rehab, is being there with them while they heal and while they get better, and refusing to give them whatever it is they're addicted to. There's a difference. Kind people have your best interest at heart long term. Nice guys are just weak guys. So whenever I say be kind to people. If there's something that needs to be said to them, not in a hurtful way, but something they need to know, or something that's causing them to hurt others, or perception, then be kind enough to tell them that. Be kind enough to help them through it. Be kind, because when you're kind, that means that you are helping other people from a position of strength. You're not helping people from a position of weakness or just to avoid conflict. So being kind doesn't always look nice, but being kind is always being kind. Be compassionate. Understand that there are people out there going through things. Everybody's going through things. Sometimes, whenever we get into a situation where somebody's just acting bizarre or out of the ordinary, maybe too aggressive or what have you, be compassionate. Understand that they may be going through something. You have no idea what it is right then. And while as our first reaction is anger, then our next reaction needs to be understanding, and don't act on that anger. And if you have acted on that anger, well, then you need to make sure you don't do it again. And if apologies are in order, they need to be done. These are all signs of strength. These are ways to be strong. And I'm a big advocate on being physically strong because it solves a lot of problems. But being mentally strong is also tantamount to being a good leader. Being emotionally strong means you're stable. It means you don't fly off the handle at things. Further reading on this, you can read any of the Stoic um, writings in any not any book on manhood, because there's some pretty terrible ones out there. Man Up by Bedros Keuilian is a good one. You can pick up my book, The Manual, what every guy's dad should have taught him. And then I'm going to have a new book coming out that is Standards of Manhood, which is talking more. The manual's written more for a younger man trying to learn to make it in the world. I wrote it about 12 years ago. And Standards of Manhood will be about being consistent and growing into a functional and comfortable father and leader, not only in your family, but in your community as well. So take this away if you don't take anything else away from this. We are not alone, men. We are able, we are capable, and we are all part of a group. We've been separated, and it gets harder the older we get sometimes to maintain and engender those friendships, and we're looking to alleviate that. But you are not alone. And if you are feeling like you're alone, reach out to me on any one of my social medias, and you'll get a response. And you won't be left completely alone. Make sure that you are taking the time that you need to do to build yourself, and that could be as little as 5 minutes a day if that's all you have. But it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself and figure out what you want to do to be a better person. Even that little minuscule amount of time spent working on yourself is going to skyrocket, slingshot you ahead so much further in life, because you start making choices to live your life on your own terms and not just reacting to everything else. Make sure you get on that sign up list for these groups. We're going to be doing a 30-day kickoff challenge. It's going to start in November, which is probably the most inconvenient time of the year. But anybody that wants to get in on that, we're going to be going through that together. And I'm going to be working through these exercises specifically with you guys. We're going to we got some cool stuff coming up with how we're going to promote that and how we're going to work that. But I'm looking for at least 10 to 20 guys to join me on that journey, and let's show the world that we can make a difference as husbands and fathers and leaders out there. Guys, I love you. Make sure you like and subscribe, follow us on all the platforms. You know